I'm Grace Torrey, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torrey, and I am back with a whole new episode. And we are so back. We're back! If you are a long-time subscriber, follower, whatever the word may be, then you know that I wasn't posting on Wednesday. I usually post every single Sunday and Wednesday. Did not post an episode on Wednesday. If you follow on Instagram, which if you're not, you should be, because that's where I post all my announcements, I basically said that I was having a hard time mentally and I needed to take the week, which is very true. That's exactly what happened. Your girl was struggling, and now I'm back. So for today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about ways that I'm going to be more authentically myself, ways that you can be more authentically yourself, basically how we're going to rebrand to be more authentic in 2024. So I basically was having a little bit of a mental moment because I just was feeling a little bit lost, a little bit lonely, a little bit like, even though I'm only 24, I'm already 24 and I don't really know like what my purpose in life is yet, and I have a lot of friends and family who do know, so I may have had a little moment, a little mentee bee, and I just needed to practice some self-care. But by doing that, I allowed myself the time to kind of reflect and think about ways that I am going to improve myself, allow myself to be more authentic, allow myself to kind of find myself, because it's hard to find yourself if you're not being true to yourself. So that is what we are focusing on the beginning of 2024. Also, I want to kind of note that there's going to be some changes to the podcast. I am not going to say that I haven't been authentic on the podcast. I definitely have, and I stand by everything that I've said up until this point. All 152 previous episodes, I have been authentic in the way that I know how. However, I do hold back and censor my jokes and my personality in some things because I want to fit the mold of someone who is trendy or is doing well in podcasting. And whether I do it subconsciously or consciously, I do kind of mold myself to be a little bit more reserved, and because I don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be more authentic. And so if my topics of episodes change because they're more authentic to me, or my personality shifts a little bit to what you're used to, it's not that I'm changing in a bad way. It's just that I've been a lot more reserved up until this point because I was scared to be authentic. But at this point, who cares? If you're not being true to yourself, then what's the point? And this whole podcast is about finding yourself and being true to yourself and finding what your passion is. So it's time. It is totally time to be more authentic, talk about things that make me happy and I light up my heart or whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that. Everything's still going to be about self-improvement and things like that. It's just going to be a little bit more authentic to myself. How many times can I say authentic in one episode? Take a shot. So yeah, we are going to be talking about rebranding ourselves and finding ourselves and all the things that I'm doing to do that. Let's start from a physical standpoint. Obviously, you don't have to change yourself physically, and I don't think that the way that I've looked up until this point has been not true to myself. It's just symbolically, I wanted to go back to my natural self. I hadn't had my natural hair color since I was 2021. Since I was 2021. Wow, okay, since I was 22 or 2021. I don't know, I've just been putting a lot of emphasis on my appearance lately, specifically changing my appearance. So getting my nails done, getting tattoos, getting piercings. Not that any of that is wrong in any way, and you can still do all of that and be authentic to yourself. However, for me, it's more of the symbolism. It's not that I dislike my natural self. I just think that by doing all those things, I was hiding from some trauma that my natural self, my more authentic version of me, the self that doesn't have the dye and everything, I kind of was putting all of that on and piling all of the change on instead of facing those things and the trauma and all of the things that come with my natural self. Like, you know how when someone dyes their hair after a breakup and they're like, this is the new me? That literally was me every time I went through trauma of some sort. And so by going back to my natural self, it's almost like I was going back to, like, I was going home to myself and like telling myself it's okay that like I went through all that and I'm ready to face it now. So it's more the symbolism behind it. But I'm not saying that you can't be your natural, more authentic self and have all of those things like nails and all that. Like, obviously I didn't get my tattoos removed or anything, but I did want to go back to a more natural version of myself for the reason of I felt like it was my way of facing all of the trauma that I've been burying. So that being said, obviously if you're watching this, my hair is no longer pink. I went as close to my natural hair as I could. With the pink, it was like a little bit different. So it almost is like a reverse ombre. Like, it's a little bit darker than my natural hair, but it's gonna fade. So I feel good. I thought that I would be a little bit more panicky. Like, I thought that I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, and like kind of have some memories that I had pushed very deep down and then panic. But we're good. I feel good about it. I'm excited and I'm happy. Like, I'm very happy that I did that. I was hesitant because I loved the pink, but I'd had pink for like 6 months, 7 months, and it didn't feel true to me anymore. Like, it just felt, I don't know, it felt like I was ready for something new. So it was time. What are you doing? If you hear anything in the background, it's my bunnies. I added some new flooring into my office and you can actually hear them walk now. And they're beep bopping around and it's kind of cracking me up, but I need to get a better microphone. I broke the wire for my microphone, that's why I haven't been using it. But as soon as I get that, you won't be able to hear them anymore, and I'm going to try and block it out in editing, but I want to put that little moment there. So yeah, I dyed my hair back. I'm taking a break from nails. It's not that I necessarily have an issue with nails. It's more of I want them to be healthy, and I do SNS with tips, and I've tried to do it without tips before, and they break within a week. I don't know if, like, I'm the problem and I just do too much, because I do, like, I'm very hands-on. I'm riding my horse. I am doing stuff all day at work. Like, I am not, like, a dainty girl who, like, just doesn't, like, ever lift a finger. I'm very hands-on, so that could be why. Or it could be the nail salon I go to. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to do tips because they ruin your nails, and I don't want to do SNS or gel without tips because they break and chip really easily. So I'm taking a break from nails. I don't know how long it'll be. Literally in the next episode, I could have nails again. I don't know. But I didn't want to do that if I wasn't sure, and I'm kind of just loving being more natural for now and just like embracing it. So I'm not doing nails for a little bit. Lastly, I'm trying to get my curls back. Obviously, my hair's curled right now if you're watching. It's because I just got it dyed yesterday, and so she styled it for me. But from day to day, I'm trying to embrace my curly hair more. If you have been around for a while, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have extremely curly hair. But because I've bleached it more times than I can count and like dyed it back and da-da-da-da, from like halfway, probably from like my halfway between my ear and my chin down, it's all like bleached and dead and dyed over. So obviously my curls are going through it. So I've been trying to invest in hair care that is going to make my hair curly and less frizzy and bring all the fun back, instead of curling my hair and straightening my hair and just like trying to do all these things. Again, not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just really taking the embracing my authentic natural self to a whole new level because of the symbolism behind it. Like, I'm such a symbolism girl, and so going natural for me is really important. So I have been investing a lot into skincare and hair care because I just haven't been in the mood for makeup and like all of that. I haven't been in the mood for like hair care, and I just want to be like my natural self, and I want to love myself naturally because I haven't done that in a very long time. Like, I don't think that I've like looked at myself naturally in the mirror 100%, like no makeup, nothing done to my hair, and been like, wow. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just like come back to myself and love myself naturally before I add all of the makeup and hair and everything. Again, not that any of that's bad. I am such a big advocate for like makeup and things like that. Like, I used to be like a beauty guru on YouTube like back in the day, so I know how fun it is and how amazing it is, but I also think it's so important to love yourself for who you are underneath all of that, and this is my way of doing that. So enough of the more physical things. Something else that I've been doing is, instead of really overthinking what I'm putting in my body, because I was like trying to diet and trying to lose weight, instead of really honing in on like, oh, how many calories is this? Oh, how much protein is this? I've just been trying to focus on having good, organic, healthy, home-cooked food. So for me, that's been a vegetable and a meat, and then something else, whether that's rice or potatoes or whatever it is, but really focusing on having a meat of some sort and a vegetable of some sort and making sure it's home cooked. I don't know what it is, but the idea of just like getting takeout or going out to dinner and like not getting home cooked food, it just hasn't sounded good to me. So I don't know if it directly correlates to being authentic, but it definitely makes me feel better when I'm eating home cooked food that I or Josh like cooked ourselves and we made ourselves, and like it's more fresh, it's gone through less processes. I don't know. It's just something that I've been doing that I've really been loving lately, so I wanted to make sure to include it. So something else that I've been doing that is kind of really, it's been hard, and I don't want to sugarcoat it and say that it's been extremely easy, because when you're in a hard place mentally, it's very hard to sit with yourself without all the distractions. But one thing that I've been doing is meditating and sitting in silence. So it's difficult. Like when you are not used to sitting in silence and you're not used to having all these distractions taken away, because you don't even realize how many distractions are around you from day to day, whether it's the noise of the cars going by or having your TV on in the background while you do homework, or, you know, having a podcast on, whatever it is, you are constantly surrounded by distractions. And so when you sit in silence and allow yourself to kind of think and just like listen to your intuition, it can be really overwhelming and really difficult, especially if you're going through it mentally. So I'm not going to say that this is super easy and you're going to pick it up immediately. When I first start after not doing it for a long time, I literally have to start back with like a minute or 2 minutes. And then I can work my way up to like a 5-minute car ride. And then I can work my way up to longer. And it's not easy. Like it's not quick, it's not easy, but it's so rewarding because you do talk to yourself and you do kind of get to know yourself better. I don't know how familiar you are with meditating / just sitting in the silence, but it does allow you to get to know yourself, because you don't, it's kind of hard to explain. You don't like take part in your thoughts, you just observe them. So whatever seems to come to mind is kind of what you're observing, and you don't interfere. Like you don't say, hey, we're not going to think that, hey, we are going to think that. You just observe it and let it pass and then listen to the next thought. Hold on. Another thing that you can do is you don't really label those thoughts as good or bad. You just kind of label them as existing and you observe them, and it just gives you a better idea of what's going on and what to work on. So like say that you are constantly thinking that you are, I'm just going to use like a very blanket example. Say that you are thinking about how ugly you are. You're not ugly at all. But say that you have that thought and you are constantly thinking like, gosh, I'm so ugly, like I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I need to go shopping, get better clothes, I need to do this, I need to do that. When you are observing that thought and not holding any weight to it, when you are done with like that meditating or sitting in silence session, then you know, okay, we need to work on self-love. And then you can actively work on it. And then as you do that, and then you go back to meditating, hopefully those thoughts will become less and less. If you are actually like working on it and doing it in a meaningful way, it is going to become less and less. And then you will have those thoughts less, and those thoughts will be replaced by, I love myself, I'm so grateful for my body, I'm so happy that whatever it may be. That is the whole point behind it. And then also just getting to know yourself is good. So meditating / sitting in silence are very important. That also goes hand in hand with allowing yourself to feel your emotions without guilt or shame. I think for me, for quite some time, I haven't allowed myself to be sad or to hurt or to be affected by things that have happened, whether it's very traumatic or not so traumatic and just like an inconvenience. Because I told myself that that's not okay, that I need to be strong, that I'm better than that. And so I just like didn't process it, didn't allow myself to be upset, and pushed it deep inside my skeleton closet, whatever the term is, and then never faced it. And all of that is hitting me at once now. And I think that it's taught me that there's nothing wrong with being upset. There's nothing wrong with being affected by things. You will feel emotional about certain things. And it may be something that someone else may not feel emotional about. Something may bother you, and the same thing may happen to somebody else, and it may not affect them at all. And that's okay. You're all going to handle emotions differently. And so telling myself, if I feel the urge to cry, that's okay. I don't even need a reason. You don't need a reason to cry. If you feel like you need to, then your body is telling you you need to, and you should listen to it. And you shouldn't feel guilty for crying because your life is so great, or you don't know why you're crying. You just are. And I know for me, like, it's so hard because I'll cry and I'll think to myself, I have no reason to cry. My life is amazing. Like, I have a roof over my head. I have a job. I have an amazing boyfriend. Like, I have a great car. I have the best pets in the world. Like, I start going through all those things in my head, and I feel even more guilty for being upset, especially if I don't know why. But that's just part of the human experience, is having emotions, and you should not feel guilty or shameful for having those emotions. And if you need to let them out, don't tell yourself that you can't. It's totally fine. You are okay. You are allowed to have emotions. And if someone tells you that you shouldn't be feeling those emotions or makes you feel bad for having emotions, then maybe that's a conversation that you need to have. Like, hey, it's okay that, like, stand up for yourself. And then if it continues, girl, maybe that's not like the best person to have in your life at such a close range. Maybe you should have them at arm's length. I'm not going to tell you who to have and not to have in your life, but you definitely should have people in your life that are supportive of you, are understanding of your situation, and are not going to shame you or make you feel guilty for anything. So, moving on. One thing that you guys know I have been a lot more vocal about and a lot more motivated to do is work out. So I've been working out a lot more. I've been going to the gym. However, I have been listening to my body. So one thing that I used to do is when I worked out, I was like balls to the wall, working out 6 days a week, hitting it, like doing a lot more than I probably should at my current like muscle and ability, like just pushing myself to the point that I'm like unable to breathe. I was genuinely like going as hard as one can. And it worked, but I was exhausted after, and it just wasn't like a good long-term situation. But having the mental thing that happen and needing a few days, it really taught me to just listen to my body. And there's a difference between your body and your mind. If your mind is saying, I don't want to work out, but like, you know that you can do it, you know you're capable of doing it, and you're just not in the mood, it is good to push yourself and go. But if your body is saying that it can't work out, and your body is showing you that it's tired, and you know that like it would be better for you to rest than to push yourself, then listen to your body and take a break. Or maybe go, but don't try and beat your personal best that day. Just go and do the bare minimum. Like, listen to your body. Listening to your body is what's going to get you results, not just from a physical point, but it's going to make you feel better mentally too. So make sure that you are taking into account your body's vote on what you should be doing, and not just forcing yourself to do or not do things based on what your ego is telling you. This is getting really like spiritual. Like, I'm using spiritual lingo. I'm trying to make it not so spiritual, but like, I'm also trying to be authentic, and this is the vocab I use just like to make it the easiest to explain. So if something doesn't make sense, feel free to DM me on Instagram. My Instagram and TikTok are down below, and I'm happy to talk to you about it more. So another thing, along with getting rid of the guilt and shame around things, is not being afraid to ask for help. So communicating your thoughts and your needs with people, it can be hard. It can be so hard. I'm someone who wants to do everything by myself. I'm someone who's like, the only person who does it right is me, and no one else can do it right. And I don't want to ask for help because that makes me look weak. And these are all thoughts that I've had at one point or another. But recently, specifically with like being so mentally unwell, that I have had to just take a step back. It's kind of forced me to ask for help, and it's forced me to go to people and ask them to, take on more of a role in my life. And it's hard. It's hard to say, hey, I feel this way, can you help me? Not just asking for help, but saying, hey, you've made me feel this way, and I'm not happy, it doesn't make me feel great. Can we work on this? And just communicating my thoughts, not just like what's going on with life in general, but like how people make me feel and whether that makes me feel good or bad. If it makes me feel good, thanking them and telling them, thank you, I appreciate this, like it does make me feel great. If it makes me feel bad, vocalizing that in a helpful way, not like pointing fingers and getting defensive, but being kind and saying, you make me feel this way, what can we do to resolve this? Also communicating needs, like for example, I told Josh that I would really appreciate it if he helped me by doing this around the house or doing that around the house because I'm not feeling great mentally and it feels like a burden right now. And, just being honest with those around you, and especially those that are in your inner circle, they should be so understanding, and maybe they are feeling some type of way as well, and they can communicate back to you that like they're also feeling that way, and it opens the dialogue for more authentic and honest conversation. So communicating can be so scary, it can be so hard, and it like genuinely is brave to do, especially if you're someone who's more of a people pleaser, but it's something that is liberating and you definitely should be doing it. It's so important for your well-being to make sure you are reaching out for help and being vocal about what you do and don't need. Next is letting yourself take a break. This is so hard for me. I am someone who has the weight of the world on my shoulders. I take on so much responsibility, and I'm someone who doesn't recognize how much I do and how much I achieve, and instead I'm like, I could pile on more. Like, I don't recognize my limit. I'm like, I can pile on more. I can do more. And then I'm at the point where I can't. Like, I genuinely can't even walk across the floor because I'm so burdened by all the things I have to do. So one thing that I've been doing, and you noticed it by me taking a break from the podcast on Wednesday, is I have also took a break from a lot of things. I took a break from keeping up with the house, which is going to catch up to me. I took a break from putting my all into everything, from work to this to that, and I'm not saying that I didn't do anything. I just did more of a reasonable amount versus putting the weight of everything and wanting to do everything insanely well on my shoulders. So I did that. But I took a break. I took a break from as much as I possibly could, and I've just been resting and allowing myself to heal, because people don't put enough emphasis on it's okay to be mentally sick, to take a sick day mentally. It doesn't mean that you're down forever. It doesn't mean that it's a disease that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is something that is, probably going to affect you for the rest of your life, and you should get help for that. But sometimes you just aren't feeling well mentally and you need to take a day or two. And I think that's where I was at. I can't tell you what brought on all of the feelings. I can just tell you that it came, and the only way out is through, and it was a rough couple of days. So I had to take a break, just like I would if I had the flu or I had a cold or whatever. I had to sit back, maybe go to sleep, and just take it on the chin, just like I would any sickness, and get through it. And so I allow myself to take a break, and we are allowing ourselves to take breaks when we need them. Just like I mentioned, like literally 2 seconds ago, I do carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I'm very serious because of that. I think that one thing I need to learn still that I haven't really mastered yet in my 20s is balancing having a lot of responsibility and not letting it consume me to the point that I'm not able to have fun. I need to learn the balance and when to turn it off and when to delegate to other people and when to say no. And so I'm learning how to lift the weight of the world off of my shoulders. And that's what I've really been focusing on, is because it's like it manifests as a physical feeling for me. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm burdened by a weight that is so heavy on my shoulders all the time. And if you are someone who is extremely ambitious, takes on a lot of responsibility, things like that, then you probably understand that feeling as well. And so I'm learning how to get that off and get it away. And I can still take on just as much responsibility, but to do it in a way that it doesn't affect me so deeply that it's literally manifesting physically in my life. So that's what we're doing. And the way that I'm doing that is not just by all the things that I've mentioned, but also by the things I'm about to mention. But I just wanted to like put it out there that that's something else that I'm working on, that these tips are also helping with. These tips are not just helping me find myself again and be more authentic, but they're also helping me to get this anxiety off of my shoulders, because it just sucks. It's not a long-term thing that you can live with for the rest of your life. If you are, sis, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Stress can cause so many more physical issues in your life. It can cause physical illnesses, and we don't need that. We're going to be peaceful, carefree, fun, authentic, and happy in 2024. Starting with getting this weight off of our shoulders while still carrying the responsibility that we carry. We delegating this year. So next is, I have a tendency to look at everything very strategically. I look at everything like a domino effect. Like, how I act and do something right now is going to affect something in the future. How I, the video I'm going to post could be a viral video, could not be, but that's going to affect my future. And so I get so caught up in the logistics of every single thing that I do and how it's going to affect my future and what is my future going to look like and how can I manifest a very specific outcome, that I kind of throw out the present to an extent. And I get very serious and I don't have fun and I don't just live in the moment. So I am trying to not think too far past the present. And I'm just doing what feels right and living in the moment, because that's the only thing that we're promised is this moment right now. And I shouldn't be so caught up with something that may or may not happen. Whatever is meant to be is going to be, and nothing I can do can stop it. That's what I personally believe. So I'm just gonna take things as they come and be more present. It's okay to still be goal-oriented and look at the future. Obviously, those are amazing things. But when you get so obsessed with it that you can't enjoy the present, then it's time to take a step back. And that's where I was at. So here we are. So one thing I talk about all the time, and I put it on here because I'm gonna put it on every single list probably until the end of time, but curating a space I feel safe and at home in. Yes, I'm talking about having an environment that I feel safe and at home in, specifically my house or maybe my job or whatever it may be. Having a space where I just feel safe. I feel at home. I feel comfortable. I feel like I can put my guards down, because someone who has been through a lot tends to look for more trauma. I almost try to find problems and chaos where there aren't any, because it's all I've known for so long. And so by making a place where I feel safe to put those guards down and I don't feel like something bad is going to happen, it allows me to heal in a way that I'm patching up those wounds and letting myself believe that everything's going to be fine. And that sounds so deep and dark, and I hope that you also are not dealing with the same thing, because it can be very extreme, it can be very hard. But having an environment where you feel safe and at home in is not just good for that reason, but it's good for many other reasons. You want to feel at home where you live. So that is what I'm working on. You can't tell, but I've done a lot of work in this office. It's mainly on the floor. I redid the floor like I just mentioned, and I'm trying to redo the bunnies and give them a different space. So that's what we're working on right now. And I've also got some stuff going on my desk, but there's a lot going on that you can't see, but we are redoing a lot, especially if we stay here another year. We haven't decided yet. We're waiting for the landlord to kind of be like, this is the deal, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, that is what I've been working on. Another thing that I have been trying to do is, when you are going through a lot mentally, you tend to isolate yourself, or at least I do. And so you tend to disassociate and lose yourself, which is why I'm trying to find myself again. And one way that I'm doing that, along with all of the other ways I just mentioned, is I am focusing on fostering relationships with not only Josh, my boyfriend, but also my friends, my close friends that I know I want to be in my life for a long time. I can tend to withdraw and isolate myself and stop answering text messages and stop hanging out with people and all of those things when I tend to get down and feel down mentally. And it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a night off. It's okay to not hang out with everyone for a day. But you still need to make it a priority to hang out with those that you love and enjoy and are in your life, and you foster those relationships. So that is what I've been doing. I've been making sure to hang out with friends and ask them to do things. And even if it pains me to get dressed and walk out the door and drive there, it's so worth it once I see them. And I've been very vocal about where I'm at mentally, and so they understand. And so we are on the same page in terms of like, I may be struggling and I may be going through something, but I still love you and I still want to be there for you. And like, please don't push me, but I'm still there. Like, I'm still going to be there. So that is one thing I've been doing that has been so, so helpful. It's kind of been a saving grace, just being around people that understand me and that I also understand, and that we have that bond where I can hang out with them and we could not say a word to each other the whole time, but it's just comforting, and we're just there for each other. Last thing that I'm going to mention that is so important to me. Hold on. Amazon just pulled up. And Josh has been waiting for them for like 3 days. So he might cry tears of joy. I just texted him that they're here. Anyway, the last thing that I have been doing to kind of distract myself in a healthy way, because for a long time I told myself that it's not good to distract yourself from your feelings. And I no longer feel that way. I think that a healthy extent is fine. Like, you shouldn't be constantly fighting your innermost demons 24/7. It's okay to do things that make you happy and make you forget what you're going through in that moment, especially if it's something where you feel mentally ill but you don't really have a reason why. Like, you just feel sad and you don't really have a reason that you can point to. It's okay to find distractions. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to find hobbies that are not on technology. So not on my phone, not on my iPad, not on my TV, like just not involved with technology, because when I am not feeling well, the first thing I do is get rid of technology. I don't know why, it just bothers me, and I don't want to be on it when I am mentally not there, mentally not in a good spot. So the two things I've been doing is reading. Obviously, my last episode was all about ACOTAR. I just finished the third book. I'm trying to pace myself and wait a little bit before starting A Court of Frost and Starlight. It's a very small book, so I will probably finish it in one setting. So I'm trying to wait, and then I'll literally start that one, and then the next day start Silver Flames, and then the next book after Silver Flames isn't out until later this year, and she hasn't given a date yet. So I'm trying to pace myself. I am obsessed with it. It's all I think about, and I still am just like, it's painful to not read it and pace myself, but I really need to. So that was something I've been doing, is reading, and that's really, really helped me and distracted me. But now I'm taking a break. So the other thing I've been doing is painting. I'm trying to hone in on my painting skills and just like figure that out, because I haven't really painted since high school. I really enjoyed it back in the day, but I haven't done it in a while, and it's been snowing like a lot. There's a lot of snow on the ground, and just something about painting, like with the window right behind me where I can see the snow and it's so bright and it's so beautiful, it just makes me happy. So that is the other hobby I've primarily been doing. But yeah, that is my full list of things that I've been doing to find myself and be more authentic in 2024. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you're on a platform where you're able to comment, let me know what tips you have for finding yourself again in 2024, what you've been doing, ways that you've been rebranding yourself. I want to hear it all. If you haven't already, don't forget to follow or subscribe on whatever platform you are currently listening or watching on. I upload every single Sunday and Wednesday. Don't forget to share with a friend who you think would also enjoy this episode, as well as leave a rating, a review, or a like. It would mean the whole world to me. Doing it takes about 0.2 seconds and it blows the podcast up. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it literally, one rating, review, or like gets the podcast out to so many more people, which is insane and crazy. So yeah, you can help me and my podcast grow by doing one thing that is free and takes about half a second. So please, please, please help a girl out. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I'm excited for 2024 and the growth that we are going to have within it. I hope that your January has started out a little bit better than mine and it continues to get better and better. I will see you guys later. I love you so much, and I think that's it. Bye, guys.